Green flag goes back in the air. Noah Gregson with a healthy kick in the pants from Brett Moffitt. He is away to turn one.
Gilliland in the outside lane fades to third with drafting help from Johnny Sauter. At the point, though, it is his teammate in Noah Gregson by a truck length over Brett Moffitt. Gilliland back to third. Sauter right there in fourth. Everyone single file among the top five.
The front four have broken away by one truck length or so, but that's all as they get set to enter turn number 3. Noah Gregson out front, but he has a rearview mirror full of a host of trucks. Todd Gilliland looks to the inside now. He will try and take that spot. Has to back away, exiting turn number 4.
Todd Gilliland will go to second. Things ticklish at the front of the field at Michigan. It's Noah Gregson leading. 16 laps to go. Gregson pulls the freight train back to turn 1.
Todd Gilliland is there in the second spot. Looks to the inside of his KBM teammate, and Noah Gregson is up alongside and is able to make the pass off of turn 2. New race leader, Gilliland to the point, but here comes Gregson back to the inside.
This fight is not over yet. Noah Gregson is going to try and get that spot back as they storm down the backstretch right now. They are glued together, all these trucks headed down the backstretch. Noah Gregson side by side for third right now with Johnny Sauter. Clear by 2 truck lengths is Todd Gilliland.
Brett Moffitt just shoehorned his way to the outside lane on the back straightaway to take over the number 2 spot. Johnny Sauter now has taken over third. Noah Gregson gets the drop kick backwards to the 4th spot.
A high-speed conga line back to turn number 1, and it's ever changing toward the front of the field. Gilliland, the race leader right now. Truck length in hand over the battle for second. Brett Moffitt is there, as is Johnny Sauter.
Johnny Sauter trying to fight his way back to the front after that unfortunate timing for the caution. He is in third right now, looking for a way to take that second spot. Right behind him is Noah Gregson. Sauter goes to the outside. Still doesn't have enough room to make that work around Brett Moffitt.
The crafty veteran Johnny Sauter at 40 years old looks into the inside for the second spot, tucks back in line, and rides in the tire tracks of the front 2. Everybody races back to turn 1.
Johnny Sauter in the third spot behind race leader Todd Gilliland, and second place Brett Moffitt. A couple of truck lengths behind Sauter, we find Noah Gregson in fourth. He is under fire from Grant Enfinger, who's back into the top 5.
Grant Enfinger right now trying to see if he can find a way to take that spot away from Noah Gregson, who's dropped a couple of truck lengths behind the top 3 right now. But here they all come back into turn number 3. Brett Moffitt looks to the inside of Todd Gilliland, but Todd leads him off turn number 4 and pulls away.
Moffitt took a sneak peek to the inside, but couldn't find the real estate to make a run. Right on his back bumper, Johnny Sauter. Here comes Moffitt. He'll jump to the bottom at the start-finish line. Brett Moffitt for the lead. Sauter 3 wide to the bottom.
3 wide for the race lead into turn number 1. Johnny Sauter will get them both by the time they get to turn 2. Moves to the inside of Gilliland, moves to the inside of Moffitt, moves to the front of the field in the backstretch.
Johnny Sauter leads the field down the backstretch right now. The closing stages of this race. He has the command of the point. Looking to the outside, looking to the inside now, trying to find a way to get by him is Brett Moffitt. He still can't have room to do it right now. Johnny Sauter in control off turn 4.
12 laps to go this time by, and the biggest Johnny Sauter fan on the property is driving back in the 13th spot. That's Matt Crafton, because he wants Sauter to win. If Gilliland wins, Crafton's knocked out of the playoffs. The leaders are in turn 1.
Gilliland right now kicked back to the third position behind 2 drivers that have already won this year. Talking, of course, about Johnny Sauter and Brett Moffitt. They go 1 and 2 off of turn 2 as single file to the back straightaway.
Johnny Sauter now has about a 2-truck advantage over Brett Moffitt, then about another 2 trucks back to Todd Gilliland in the third position. Then about 3 more truck lengths back to John Hunter Nemechek in that 4th spot. Then we get to Noah Gregson in 5th.
Anything but smooth sailing for Johnny Sauter right now. Took the lead with a daring 3-wide move, but he's got a rear-view mirror full of Brett Moffitt. Todd Gilliland beginning to close in third.
3-way race at the front of the field right now, led by Johnny Sauter. Brett Moffitt is in the second spot. Todd Gilliland is third. Then a gap back to John Hunter Nemechek, running unchallenged in the 4th spot.
Those guys nose to tail, single file down the backstretch right now, sorting it out. Johnny Sauter has about a 2-truck length lead over Brett Moffitt. Right behind him, he's got a rear-view mirror full of Todd Gilliland. He looks to his inside. Todd Gilliland trying to move up.
Slips just a bit as he loses the air off the nose of his Toyota. Falls 3 truck lengths to the rear of the second-place truck of Brett Moffitt. Moffitt, however, he'll go on the attack. Closes right up to the inside of Johnny Sauter and takes a peek for the lead.
But does not make a move as of yet. Had a look to the inside. Well, he'll have another in turn number 2. Sauter drifts up the racetrack. keeps the momentum wound up topside. Moffitt has to fall back in the line in second.
Johnny Sauter making that truck as wide as he can, not letting one of the guys behind him get wound up and get momentum to drive away from him off the turn. Johnny Sauter, a half a lane up off the bottom, a 2-truck length lead over Brett Moffitt, 3 truck lengths back to Todd Gilliland.
A little further back in the pack, watching the progress of Stuart Friesen, who restarted in the rear after that pit road penalty. Friesen has slashed his way all the way back to the top 10. He is 9th right now as they head for turn 1.
Has a ways to go, though, Dave, before he has a shot at a win here today. Is behind Ben Rhodes right now. Also the Austin Lane Celt truck just in front of Stuart Friesen, who is well outside of the top 5.
Very fast truck, but a lot of trucks between him and the leader, Johnny Sauter, right now, as the front 2 have broken a little bit away now from Todd Gilliland, as he's got a battle. He's side by side with John Hunter Nemechek. Nemechek takes that spot away.
He does, and goes across the nose of Todd Gilliland. Todd is in jeopardy of losing the 4th spot. He will, in fact. Noah Gregson will go by. Now Grant Enfinger is knocking on the tailgate of Todd Gilliland in 1.
Gilliland definitely going the wrong way here in the last couple of laps, losing the 3rd spot to John Hunter Nemechek, and just a moment ago losing 4th to Noah Gregson, with a couple of more trucks beginning to apply some pressure in Stuart Friesen and Grant Enfinger.
All this has allowed the top 2 trucks to get 6 or 8 truck lengths away. Johnny Sauter on the point, right in his tire tracks. Brett Moffitt, he now looks to the outside to see if he can get Johnny Sauter that way. Nothing doing off turn 4.
Lead pair trying to break away a bit from the 3rd, 4th, and 5th place machines. For Brett Moffitt, this has a bit of a familiar feeling. Back in 2016, claimed his first ever NASCAR National Series win with a last lap pass here at Michigan.
Could he be setting up to do just that again here this afternoon? Time will tell. He is within 3 truck lengths now of race leader Johnny Sauter. The top 2 beginning to tiptoe away from the rest of the field.
Those front 2 are about 6 truck lengths apart. Then the next 2 are almost nose to tail entering turn number 3. John Hunter Nemechek and Todd Gilliland. This time up front, Brett Moffitt looks low, but Johnny Sauter drifts up high and has the momentum off turn 4.
6 laps to go in the Corrigan Oil 200, this time by Johnny Sauter with the lead. A truck length off his back deck lid is Brett Moffitt. Those front 2 back in turn 1.
Moffitt staying within striking distance of race leader Johnny Sauter as they continue to break away from John Hunter Nemechek in 3rd. Again, Moffitt using the inside lane off of turn 2. Had a look to the inside of Johnny Sauter, but fell back in the line.
Johnny Sauter right now in control. A few slower trucks ahead, but it'll be a couple of laps before those become a factor for Johnny Sauter, the leader, and those chasing him right now. Looking low again is Brett Moffitt, but Johnny Sauter using that middle lane to his advantage.
It'll be 5 laps to go as they come to the line this time. Johnny Sauter, Brett Moffitt run 1 and 2, then about an 8 truck length gap back to John Hunter Nemechek in 3rd.
Who has been unable to close in on the top 2 the last couple of laps, but this time as the race leaders hit some lap traffic in turn number 2, Nemechek closes in to within 3 truck lengths of Brett Moffitt. He might be a player before this one is all said and done.
John Hunter Nemechek has separated himself from that 3rd place battle. He's now set off after Brett Moffitt. He's got some 6 truck lengths now over Noah Gregson. Johnny Sauter has 2 truck lengths over Brett Moffitt as they head off turn 4 again.
John Hunter Nemechek in 3rd is definitely closing in and catching the front 2. They exit turn 4 across the start-finish line. Lap number 96 on the board. 4 laps to go in Michigan.
Top 2 nose to tail, then 4 truck lengths back to John Hunter Nemechek, who's riding in 3rd. 3 more truck lengths to Noah Gregson in 4th. But it continues to be Johnny Sauter at the point. 2 truck lengths in hand over Brett Moffitt.
Brett Moffitt has looked high. He's looked low. Still can't find the momentum to make that pass on Johnny Sauter. A couple of slower trucks in front of the lead group now as they enter turn number 3. They work around Norm Benning. Johnny Sauter, 3 truck lengths clear of Brett Moffitt.
Little by little, Johnny Sauter beginning to pull away. Last time at the stripe, it was 0.2 of a second. A good run by Moffitt off the top of turn 4. Still lost 1/10 of a second that lap.
Still measured within feet on the racetrack. Still about a truck length and a half between the top 2. Johnny Sauter to Brett Moffitt. A larger gap back to John Hunter Nemechek, who now finds Noah Gregson in his rear deck lid on the back straightaway.
After John Hunter Nemechek ran up there toward Brett Moffitt in the second spot. Noah Gregson reeled him back in. That's a good battle shaping up for that third spot right now. But looking low again, getting a nose underneath Johnny Sauter is Brett Moffitt.
Trying to find some room to race off turn 4. Can't do it. Sauter hangs on to the top spot. He'll dive to driver's left to try to break the draft. Brett Moffitt follows his every move. There are just 2 laps to go.
Time beginning to run out for Brett Moffitt in turn number 1. He's stabilized in the second spot, just a truck length and a half behind race leader Johnny Sauter. John Hunter Nemechek closes now to within 3 truck lengths in third.
The front 4 have broken well away from the rest of this field now. If nothing wild happens, those 4 will settle it among themselves. Johnny Sauter, a truck length over Brett Moffitt. He's a half a lane higher. Moffitt again sticks a nose underneath, but can't get the momentum off the turn to take that spot away.
One last run for Brett Moffitt at the back bumper of Johnny Sauter. He has closed it up to less than a truck length now. White flag is in the air. 1 lap to go. It's Johnny Sauter and Brett Moffitt to turn 1.
Final time into turn number 1. Johnny Sauter all by himself now at the front of the field as the battle shifts to the second position. John Hunter Nemechek looking to the inside of Brett Moffitt to take that spot away.
Brett Moffitt has to look out the rearview mirror and make sure John Hunter Nemechek's not going to snooker him for that second spot. That gives Johnny Sauter a little breathing room as they enter turn 3 for the final time. But here comes Moffitt again with a push from Nemechek. He looks down low on Sauter.
Here they come up off turn 4. Brett Moffitt is there, side by side. A drag race to the finish line. Who's going to win? To the bottom. It's Brett Moffitt winning the Corrigan Oil 200 with a drafting pass to the driver's left and beating Johnny Sauter to the finish line by just a fender. Brett Moffitt picks up the win. Let's go to pit road.
And this crew is going absolutely nuts. Their pit box situated almost right directly in front of the start-finish line. High fives, hugs. Let's see if we can get a word with crew chief Scott Zappadelli. You look so calm in the closing lap. What were you thinking as they came off turn 4?
We just going with the plan. We just did our own thing today. And we were kind of on our own schedule with all our stops. And at the end of the day, it worked out for us.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Did their own thing, and they got it done here at Michigan International Speedway. 4th win for this team this season.
They absolutely did, Kim. They got it done by 2/100ths of a second. And to the naked eye, that's about the width of the front bumper. Brett Moffitt has won the Corrigan Oil 200 here at Michigan.